This is the process shot. I'm Michael. I'm not sure I can describe this movie, so I won't bother trying. That said, Schizopolis is a very strange film from Steven Soderbergh released back in 1996 that feels more like a collection of ideas and scenes rather than a true narrative. It follows a man named Fletcher Munson who works a dead end job with coworkers he barely tolerates, coming home to a wife he communicates with on a minimalist basis. As he avoids writing a speech for a self help guru, he comes to learn that his wife is cheating on him with a man who looks exactly like him, who also has his own set of troubles coming to him. Meanwhile, an eccentric exterminator quits the movie in the middle of a scene and joins another project, which is essentially just another subplot within the film. It's a story that's relatively easy to describe on paper, and overall, it's easy enough to understand what's going on in the film. The real challenge comes in the film's actual execution, which takes on a hell of a lot of surreal elements that basically uproot the idea of narrative storytelling in favor of, well, what ends up being pretty messy in action. Schizopolis foregoes pretty much any desire to present the story in a traditional manner, futzing with dialogue, plot structure, and editing to tell an otherwise bland and middling story in an extremely unusual manner, to the point that the movie is less about its story and more about how it's being told. The film even admits this from the start in its claim that if the viewer can't understand what's going on, it's entirely their own fault. However, the movie doesn't really try to put forward any reasons for the choices that are made, other than for the surreal aesthetic or experimentation, it seems. There are some hints of themes of communication breakdown, such as Munson and his wife having boiled their conversations down to a basic formula, or speaking different languages entirely, as well as the exterminator speaking to others through coded nonsense. This could also speak more to internal interpretation versus what is actually being said by others. Overall, though, it feels more like a collection of ideas being thrown together, maybe even one after the other as the film was being made, in the hopes that everything would work out in the long run. There's even one scene transition that suggests as much, literally stating that there is an idea missing before moving on to the next scene. Schizopolis does employ a few good ideas, mostly in its technical elements like cinematography and editing, the former of which does a good job at making some of the surreal ideas visually coherent in terms of story, and the latter, which is able to keep the story coherent, as well as present a few clever means of storytelling, one of which that sticks out to me the most being a scene involving court documents being read. It's edited together in a way that actually works out compared to most of the other ideas presented in the film. Overall, that's pretty much what the movie feels like to me. An experiment in storytelling and filmmaking that tries for something new and different by being surreal and extreme, but stumbles more than it succeeds. Schizopolis, Steven Soderbergh, 1996. 2 stars. I won't think it's worth recommending, but it's one of those movies where you might get more out of it than I did. And if you don't, well, that's your fault. Anyways, I'm done with this review. Leave a like if you liked it, and leave a comment if you didn't. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews. I gotta say, at least you can't say that Soderbergh's film output is predictable or one note.